I recently got into the Dark Souls series and I am loving it. They're definitely some of the best games I've played in a long time. They're excellently developed, they have excellent level designs, awesome boss design, and some really cool soundtracks. And then I was thinking, well, are there even games like the Dark Souls ones? I actually think there are. Here is a list that I've made of 5 games that are very similar to Dark Souls. They aren't necessarily 100% like them, especially the first ones on the list, but they're still very similar, and if you enjoy Dark Souls you should definitely check these games out. And yes, before you say it, I know there's New Game Plus, and after you finish Dark Souls, you just replay Dark Souls. But if you want to change things a little bit, check these games out. At number 5 is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Yeah, it's not really all that much like Dark Souls, but the level design is top notch, the levels, the gothic design, everything looks amazing, and if you enjoy the medieval aspects of Castlevania, this is very cool as well, with different varieties of monsters to fight, with some really good weapons, and a relatively simple but interesting RPG system. It's in my opinion the best game in the Castlevania franchise, and it's one of my favorite games of all time, so I had to put it on the list. It's not necessarily as hard as the Dark Souls games, but it's really just as satisfying. At number 4 is Dark Mouse. This recently released indie game is very similar to Dark Souls. It's basically a top-down version of Dark Souls with a lot less colors and compelling level design, and with mices. I don't know. It's a very well done game, and it has the feel and vibe of the Dark Souls game, and they actually managed to kind of take that formula and put it in a top-down perspective. It's also a very cheap game and you get a lot of replayability out of it, so check it out. At number 3 is Lords of the Fallen. This is nearly a shameless copy of Dark Souls, but it's actually relatively more easier, and it has a more straightforward story to actually understand and enjoy. It takes a lot of the similar elements like gigantic boss fights, really awesome soundtrack, interesting level designs, even though it's not done as perfectly and as well as the Dark Souls games, it's still just as enjoyable, and it's basically just a simple clone, so you can't go wrong with that. At number 2 is kind of a cheat game, because it's Nioh. This game isn't released just yet, but we got an alpha version for the PlayStation 4, and it is a Dark Souls set in Japan with katanas and demons. It's cool, it's very cool, except that it's not number 1 because this is way more frustrating. It's almost impossible to beat the boss in the demo version. In Nioh, the shrines are basically the bonfires, you also get the souls. It is a Dark Souls game, but it's still very damn good. Even though it's unbalanced, I don't really care all that much about it. It's going to be the next Dark Souls, I can already see that. Nioh, the next Dark Souls. Shameless copy as well, but still very good. And at number 1, it's Salt and Sanctuary. This game is also available right now on Steam. It's a near perfect adaptation of Dark Souls in 2D. We have the awesome bosses, the interesting level design, the hard difficulty, dying to then get your souls, or in this case your salt, back from the monsters that killed you. You also have the traps, you have the different weapons, different class system, the character creation, the shrines, the altars. It is Dark Souls in 2D, and it's in my opinion one of the better indie games that has come out this year. So definitely go and buy Salt and Sanctuary right now. It's not having that much success on PC compared to PS4, but it deserves all the recognition it can get. If you love Dark Souls, definitely buy Salt and Sanctuary. So guys, these are just my 5 games that in my opinion are very similar to Dark Souls, and also I will just sneak it right there. Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Always buy that game. If you like fantasy in general, buy that game. But still guys, What's in your opinion the best not Dark Souls game or the best game similar to Dark Souls? Tell me in the comments below. Thanks for watching, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.